To get revenge for his fallen friend, an elderly man decides to hunt down a gang that even the police are afraid to touch. He goes to his best friend Leonard's place, and from inside the room, he quietly keeps watch, tracking the daily movements of Noel and his crew. That day, Noel and his men are hanging around their usual spot near the tunnel. They harass people walking by, and they even humiliate a young couple who just happens to pass through. Watching it all, the man's anger boils over. To him, this is way past kids causing trouble. This is predators running the streets, and right there, he knows he cannot keep waiting. It is time to move. And the man watching them is Harry Brown. Later that night, Harry shadows one of Noel's gang members, a guy named Kenny, as he heads into a house believed to be one of their transaction spots. Once Kenny goes inside, Harry walks up and knocks like he belongs there. The door opens, and he is greeted by Streech, Kenny's friend. Harry calmly claims he is there for business, but the second he steps in, Kenny snaps a gun up at him, convinced Harry is an undercover cop. Harry can feel how close this is to going very wrong, so he quickly improvises, giving them a reason that sounds ridiculous, but just believable enough. He says he needs a firearm to deal with pigeons that keep landing on his roof. It is a goofy excuse, but it works. Kenny and Streech ease up, and they lead Harry deeper into the house. That is when Harry sees the real setup. Behind the main rooms, there is a large grow space, a full indoor cannabis farm, thriving inside a greenhouse they maintain illegally. And it gets worse. In their lounge area, Harry spots a young girl lying weak on the couch. She looks barely conscious, clearly used and discarded by the gang. Harry, unable to ignore it, urges them to take her to a hospital. The gang brushes him off and warns him not to stick his nose in their business. Not wanting to stay there any longer than he has to, Harry starts pretending to shop, acting like he is carefully choosing from the weapons Kenny offers. Kenny, excited to show off, explains ranges and features like he is a professional. Harry plays along, listening closely and nodding as if he is learning something new. But Harry is not some clueless old man. He is a former Marine, and he understands weapons better than any of them. The whole act is just a trap, a way to get them comfortable, a way to make them drop their guard. And the moment the opening appears, Harry moves. He pulls out a combat knife and drives it into one thump's hand, disabling him instantly. Then, before anyone can properly react, Harry opens fire. Kenny goes down, and so do the rest. In seconds, the house turns into a slaughter zone. When it is over, Harry makes sure nobody's left standing. Then he grabs gasoline, splashes it through the place, and sets the entire hideout on fire. He does not hesitate. He wants their world to burn exactly the way they have been burning everyone else's. Harry carries the girl out and gets her away from there. He drops her at the nearest hospital entrance, slips a thick wad of cash into her hand, and disappears into the night before anyone can stop him and ask questions. While all of this is happening, the city police are preparing for a major meeting. They are planning a large-scale operation to arrest the gangsters involved in illegal drug and weapons trafficking. The raid will be led by Alice's superior, the same department that has been handling Leonard's death. In fact, her boss orders Alice to put Leonard's case on hold and focus on the upcoming operation instead. Meanwhile, Harry continues carrying out his mission on his own. Day and night, he keeps a close eye on Noel's gang, carefully watching their movements and waiting for the right moment to strike. One day, while the gang members are gathered near the tunnel, Harry notices a bald man approaching them. The man carries himself with authority, and the other gangsters clearly treat him with respect. After arriving, he calls over one of Noel's men, a guy named Marky, and signals for him to come along. What they do not realize is that Harry has been observing everything from a distance. Without warning, he suddenly steps out and shoots the bald man dead. Chaos breaks out instantly. In the middle of the confusion, Harry manages to capture Marky and drags him into an empty room where he holds him captive. Inside that room, Harry pressures Marky to reveal the names of the men responsible for killing his best friend. At first, Marky refuses to say anything, but when Harry makes it clear that he will not hesitate to kill him, Marky finally gives in. Instead of speaking, he hands Harry his phone. On the phone, there is a video recording. When Harry plays it, he is forced to watch a horrifying scene. 6 men surround Leonard and brutally attack him. They beat him mercilessly, then stab him again and again until he dies. Watching the footage, Harry can barely contain his grief. The pain quickly turns into rage as he sees his friend treated with such cruelty. Burning with anger, Harry demands to know which one of them delivered the fatal stab. Not long after that, back at the tunnel where the gang usually gathers, Noel and several of his men are relaxing with their girlfriends. Suddenly, they are startled when Marky appears, walking toward them with his hands and feet tied. The gang members are confused and begin trying to figure out what is going on, but Marky urgently tells them to leave immediately, warning them that the man who brought him there is armed. They barely have time to react before gunshots suddenly echo through the tunnel. Harry emerges from the darkness and opens fire on the gang. A violent shootout erupts inside the tunnel. Several gang members drop almost instantly, but one of them manages to fire back, hitting Harry before escaping the scene. Harry tries to chase him, but only makes it a short distance. The gunshot wound finally catches up with him, and he collapses onto the asphalt. The hunt is far from over. But now Harry knows one thing for certain. The names of the men who killed his best friend are finally in his hands. But to truly understand how everything reached this point, the story has to go back to the beginning. Sometime earlier, a video recording had been circulating among the gang members. The footage shows a group of gangsters initiating a new recruit. At first, it looks like nothing more than a reckless display of bravado. But the situation quickly spirals out of control when the new recruit starts acting wildly while holding a gun. They begin shooting at anyone who happens to be in front of them. Even a mother walking through the park while carrying her baby becomes a target. The gunfire kills the woman on the spot. Realizing the horrifying thing they have just done, the gang members immediately flee the scene. The next morning, a middle-aged man named Harry Brown wakes up in his quiet home. From the radio playing in the background, a news report talks about a brutal shooting carried out by a group of gangsters. Sadly, this kind of violence is nothing unusual in the neighborhood where Harry lives. Crime has become part of everyday life in the area, and the police seem overwhelmed, struggling to keep the growing gang activity under control. After finishing his breakfast, Harry prepares to visit his wife at the hospital. She has been in a coma for some time, and visiting her has become part of his routine. Not far from Harry's apartment, there is a tunnel that serves as a shortcut to the hospital. However, that tunnel is also a favorite gathering spot for local gangsters. Rather than risk running into them, Harry chooses the longer and safer route. When he arrives at the hospital, Harry cannot hide the sadness on his face as he sees that his wife's condition is getting worse. Later, Harry stops by a local pub owned by Sid Rourke. While ordering a drink, he is approached by his close friend Leonard Atwell. The two of them sit down and begin playing a quiet game of chess, something they often do together. During their game, two gangsters walk into the pub. One of them is a man named Kenny. Right there in front of everyone, they casually conduct a drug deal. Leonard notices it and quietly tells Harry that Sid is not the good man Harry believes him to be. According to Leonard, Sid has been taking bribes from Kenny. That is why he never reports the gang to the police, even though Kenny is involved in more than just drug dealing. He is also selling weapons and exploiting underage girls. Hearing this, Harry quickly tells Leonard to lower his voice. He does not want his friend attracting unnecessary trouble. In Harry's mind, it is better not to get involved with people like that. That same night, Harry's sleep is disturbed by noise outside his apartment. A group of gangsters is trying to break into a car parked in the courtyard. They even attack the owner of the vehicle, leaving the poor man lying helpless on the ground. Harry watches the scene unfold, but he chooses not to interfere. He knows he is an old man now, and stepping into that situation could easily make things worse. Sometime later, while Harry's asleep, he suddenly receives a call from the hospital. The doctors inform him that his wife's condition has become critical. In the middle of heavy rain, Harry rushes out of his apartment and heads toward the hospital. Even in such an urgent situation, he still avoids the dangerous tunnel and takes the main road instead. The longer route costs him precious time. By the time Harry finally arrives, it is already too late. He never gets the chance to say goodbye to his wife before she passes away. A few days later, Harry is seen standing quietly at the graves of his wife and his child. Leonard comes to visit him there. Harry is clearly devastated by the loss of his wife. Now the only person he has left in his life is his best friend, Leonard. As usual, the two of them later stop by their favorite pub. There, Harry talks about his younger days, when he served as a soldier in the military, and how he first met the woman who would become his wife. It turns out Harry was once one of the best soldiers in his unit and had received several medals for his service. But the conversation takes an unexpected turn when Leonard suddenly asks whether Harry has ever killed anyone before. The question catches Harry off guard. In the end, he simply reflects that the man he is now is very different from the man he used to be. Before heading home that night, Leonard opens up to Harry about the fear he has been living with. Almost every day he is harassed by the local gangsters. They bully him constantly, and at one point they even threw a bag of filth that hit him directly in the face. To cope with the intimidation, Leonard reveals that he has started carrying a knife, hoping it might give him the courage to defend himself if things ever get worse. Seeing how shaken his friend is, Harry tries to calm him down. He advises Leonard to stay patient and report the harassment to the police instead of confronting the gang on his own. Unfortunately, Leonard explains that he has already gone to the police several times, and none of those reports were ever taken seriously. Not long after that, Leonard experiences another terrifying incident. In the middle of the night, while he is sleeping, thick smoke suddenly fills his apartment. He wakes up coughing and struggling to breathe. It turns out the gangsters have burned trash right outside his front door, deliberately trying to scare him. Furious, Leonard storms outside and angrily confronts them. The next day, Harry receives an unexpected visit from two police officers, Alice Frampton and Terry Hickok. They bring devastating news. Leonard Atwell has been found dead inside the tunnel where the gangsters usually gather. The case is still under investigation, but the police strongly suspect that Leonard was murdered. Alice asks Harry about Leonard's state of mind the last time they met. Harry explains that his friend had been extremely frightened, constantly tormented by the group of young thugs in the neighborhood. After the officers leave, Harry is left alone with the crushing reality that the last person he truly cared about is gone. Sometime later, Alice and Hickok arrest a teenager named Noel. He is known as the leader of the gang operating in the area, and the police suspect he may be involved in Leonard's death. As Noel is being taken away in the police car,